Welcome to another episode of the Wonderfully Made podcast. I'm your host, Fifi Buchanan, and today I'm going to be talking about how to keep pushing even though you're tired. I asked on Instagram about a month ago, what would you like for me to cover? And this was one of the topics that was brought up. And I think that it's a really great topic to be talking about in the last quarter of the year. And so let's get into it. How do you keep going when you're tired? This is so important because there are so many times when we don't really have a choice. We have to keep going. However, we don't really have a lot of energy and maybe our morale is a little bit low and we may have even lost a bit of motivation. So the first one, and I don't think you'll be surprised with my answer, is to factor in rest. I think it is natural to want to just keep pushing because we truly have goals, and some of those goals may be vital to our survival and forward motion. However, without resting, we are not as effective. So think about it. Whether you're tired because you've got to get through your graduate school program, finish strong for your 9-to-5 job, to get through the holidays in some sort of way, or to make further steps towards progress with your business or your health and wellness goals, all of these things are extremely important. However, you will not be good at any of them if you are not properly rested. So you must factor in rest. And I'm talking on a micro level, meaning in an 8-hour day of work, rest needs to be factored in there. When you look at an entire week from Sunday to Saturday, rest must be factored in. When you look at the entire month, where are the days that you can take a full day off or a half day off in order to recharge? And then when you find that time, stay committed to it. Don't break your promise to yourself by saying, well, I know I said today was going to be a day off, but I really don't feel like I can afford it. Here's the thing. When it comes to rest, you can't afford not to. Okay, so that is your first thing. The next one is reprioritize. And this one is tough because sometimes the reason we are tired is because we are overcommitted. There are too many things on our list that we have said yes to. So prioritizing to me is two things. It's shifting all of the things that you have to do so that you've got the most important things up front and you've got the least important things at the bottom. That's important. That's something that we can all do. Another one, and this one's a little harder, reprioritizing may mean saying no to some things that you already said yes to. But as difficult as it is, it's so much better than just flaking on things. So whether you have to talk to someone that you're close to or you're working with and saying, I know that I said that I could deliver this at this time, but I no longer can, or I need more time, or I need an additional resource to get this done. Reprioritizing may change your yes or delay your yes, something, because you're only one person and there are only 24 hours in one day. This one can be very uncomfortable, but it is so much better than dropping the ball. Next, give your attention to what matters. Now, how is that different from prioritizing? Well, it's kind of connected, but the thing is, giving your attention to what matters means having your thoughts and your energy on the task at hand. And so if you are at your 9-to-5 and you're like, okay, I promised my manager or my customer these 3 things, and I must have them done by close of business today, then that is where your mind needs to be. Your mind does not need to be on the 12 things you need to do after work or the weekend. Look, human beings, it seems like we love to multitask, but we're really not great at it. And if your mind is not on the task at hand, you're not going to be excellent at it. And my guess is you are a person listening to a personal development and lifestyle improvement podcast. You are a person who cares about doing the things you do with excellence. So it's going to take a little bit of nudging and gently bringing yourself back to focus. But if you find your mind wandering or you're planning for a different task that you're not currently on, bring yourself back to focus and say, okay, well, right now I'm in this 9 o'clock meeting, so let me go ahead and pay attention to my 9 o'clock meeting. Okay, well, right now I'm eating lunch. And so this is my 30-minute lunch break. Now is not the time to be thinking about my dentist appointment. And if this helps, maybe have a little notebook, a journal, an app or something on your phone where if certain ideas or thoughts come up that need to be tended to at a later time, you can quickly jot it down and you can return to that little note and deal with it at a later time. But don't cheat yourself by trying to multitask or doing one thing and having your thoughts be elsewhere. Wherever you are, be all the way there. The next one is give yourself more time. And this really, really applies to your personal goals, but it can also apply to work as well, as long as you're a good communicator. Instead of having this idea that the year is ending and therefore you must push, is to me a lot of times like a self-inflicted stress. So instead, maybe thinking about, okay, how can I break this big goal into a bunch of smaller ones? And what is more realistic for me to complete by the end of the year? And realistic also means factoring in that there are holidays and there's just tends to be a lot more busyness towards the end of the year. Although people's energy levels are not as high as maybe a January, February, there's still a lot that needs to be done. So figuring out, well, let's look at this realistically. What can I really get done? That's what I'm going to commit to. And I'm not going to push myself and overdo it just because of some date on a calendar. The next tip would be to remember why you started. This is so important because what I have found is sometimes when I think of why I started, I realize that the goal is not something I need to accomplish anymore. Other times it motivates me and I remember why I started. So an example would be trying to get more sleep. And that's a tough one. We all just have more responsibilities as we get older and so much changes in our lives. And so there's a lot required of us. So maybe I've said to myself, okay, I want to get 8 hours of sleep. And then each night I'm cheating myself by staying up later because I have stuff to do or because I didn't manage my time properly. For me to say to myself, the reason I wanted 8 hours of sleep is because my brain functions a lot better. My anxiety is lower. My weight is more balanced. My hormones are more balanced. The mental clarity is just amazing. That is why I wanted more sleep. When I think of that, that motivates me to manage my time better and to get in bed on time. So instead of just having this attitude of, I should really go to bed on time, it's more so, gosh, there are so many benefits to this goal that I set for myself, so let me stay committed. And the same can be true for anything related to your personal, professional life, your wellness. Think of why you started, and that will help you evaluate if that goal is still one that you need or one that you may need to throw out. The last one is to establish a reward system. I am very motivated by rewards, and it's not always something financial, but if there is some sort of treat that I want, it could be, as an example, with wellness. There's a certain number of cardio days that I would like to have for the week. And then telling myself, if I achieve that, then I can book a massage, for instance. Sometimes that reward and having that in the back of my mind really, really helps me to get through. I think the problem is that so many people use rest as a reward for getting things done. And rest is not a reward. Rest is the thing that every human being needs in order to thrive and be successful. Rest is not a reward for checking a box off. It's crucial. It's critical. It's like needing air and water. And even when you don't hit all of your goals at the end of certain days, you still need to rest and wake up and try all over again. And so establishing some sort of reward that you know would be feasible and very rewarding to you and motivating to you, then anytime you think about slacking off or giving less than the amount of energy you have to give, you will say, oh, I don't want to cheat myself because I really want that reward that I've established. So think about something that may work for you. What you'll find about everything I shared, I think, is that rest is the most important thing. That and just not being overcommitted. It may make some people uncomfortable when you have to go back and uncommit yourself, but they will be a lot less uncomfortable with that than you just flaking or dropping the ball and not communicating. I hope you will give yourself some grace as you bring this year to a close, and you will keep in mind that you're doing the best you can. Do what you can. Leave the rest for another day. That's what you've got to do. It's not easy. A lot of us want to accomplish a lot of things, but we must give ourselves grace. Well, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening.